Hello, I'm Tyrone. Like your shoelaces, you tie your own. In today's video, smoked watermelon. The first thing you want to do is find the biggest knife you can so that you can look very impressive as you shave the skin off the outside. As you can see, I have weak wrists, so needed to very aggressively cut for only a little bit before downgrading my knife to something a little more manageable. Before you ask, yes, smoked watermelon is apparently a thing. My brother-in-law and sister, who are both vegans, said, you know what might be fun? Having a vegan option when you serve whatever it is you serve from your smoker. And they suggested that they might make this, and I said, hold up a minute, you can't do that without me doing it, please. So after a little bit of research, I found out you need to salt it and brine it overnight, adding a few fun spices. You can see here I'm adding fennel, having just added cinnamon and coriander, now adding paprika, throwing that all in a big vat or a big stock pot so that you can brine this watermelon overnight. Also added a bit of vinegar to give it a bit of a tang, and what is apparently necessary is some ash to give it a leathery skin. You can see the fire brought out all sorts of wildlife. That's a blue-tongue lizard hiding in my bushes. So what the ash does is apparently seals the outside of the watermelon so that when it's heated, it doesn't just melt and fall through the smoker. I don't think I used enough. In fact, I probably could have tripled the amount of salt and spices used for this amount of water and watermelon. But at that point, I put it in the fridge overnight and came back to it the next day. The next day, smoking it. I put it in my smoker at about 100 degrees Celsius, which is about 225 if memory serves correctly. I put it in that for about 8 hours, maintained a fairly stable temperature. Before doing that, spicing it. It's good to put your watermelon on a roasting rack like this over a tray. That way any drips get caught in the tray below, and there is meant to be more drips than what I had in the tray. Spiced it with what I would use on pork ribs, something bit sweet, bit hot, and then this is activated charcoal. What that does is seals the watermelon so that when it smokes, it doesn't just melt. The ash that I put in the brine did nothing for me. This keeps it sealed and, for the most part, watertight. I found that having my watermelon in this roasting tray with the roasting rack meant that it wouldn't fit in this little smoker. So I had to take it out of the roasting tray to leave it smoking. Looking at it throughout the day, it looks alright. And then I made the mistake of probing it. There's nothing wrong with probing it, I just wanted to know what was happening in the middle. And about this point, 4 hours in, it's at about 40 degrees. But you can see as soon as I took the probe out, it started leaking over the activated charcoal on the outside. So I put the probe back in and thought, I'm going to need a way to plug this hole. So I put a permanent probe in. The reason for giving it a bit of a jiggle is to see just how jiggly it is. Eventually, after about 8 hours, it got to 65 degrees. Took that bad boy out of my smoker. That was more than jiggly enough for what I was hoping for. Put it on my chopping board. You can see there's a little bit of juice in the bottom there. Not much, doesn't need to be much. I took it out, took it to a table and started to score it. But before I started scoring it, I filled up the firebox with as much wood as I could just to get it absolutely rip-roaring inside that smoker. This was smoked for about 7.5 hours at about 110, 120 degrees Celsius before I scored it and put it back in the smoker at about 250 odd degrees Celsius so that it would contract. And about that time I invited my neighbour over so that he could have a taste with his daughter. This is the interaction we had.
Look at that! Wow! Come around here, sweetie. Oh my god, look at that. Oh, it looks beautiful.
Whoa, doesn't look like a watermelon.
No. It doesn't, does it?
It looks like a piece of meat.
Wow, look at the colour. That's crazy. It's still kind of crunchy.
Yeah, it's got a nice crunchy sort of slop to it.
It's yummy.
It is yummy, isn't it?
But it's got barbecue.
It's because it's smoked.
Yeah, it's an interesting flavour.
It's yummy.
The outside is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the outside is money. The outside's amazing.
Yeah, it's like the brisket ends.
It's just like little burnt bits, you know. I mean, a salad of that would be pretty amazing. Like mint and maybe feta cheese or something. It's quite Moorish.
Like, there is a big difference between the outside and the inside. The inside's like your typical watermelon, but then the outside's like barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as you cut it so that everybody gets a little bit of the outside, because that's... But it's amazing how it's retained a bit of its texture.
Yeah.
Like, it's not sloppy or anything. I was expecting it to be really soft on the inside, but it's still quite crispy and refreshing. I'm wondering if I cored it. I cut it in half, cored out a lot of the center, and then smoked.
Filled it with cheese, yeah.
Well, I mean, that would be addictive. Like feta would be, like mint and feta.
Filled it with cheese, wrapped it in bacon.
Now you're speaking my language, man. You want to open it for him, sweetie? Because you got dirty hands.
That is the coolest. What sort of animal is that? Is that
It's a cow.
Is it
okay?
a cow?
I was going to guess Dalmatian.
I was going to guess a
Then-
panda bear, actually.
All cool options.
Yeah.
Nice cow. I look forward to eating it.
Because he likes smoking things.
Because he's like smoking things. That makes sense.